Simply finding that comfortable position on the mat, lying on your back. If you have a tender lower back, remember you can always bend your knees to release any tension there might be there. And just let your arms fall out by your side in whatever way that feels comfortable for you. Allow your breath to soften and to lengthen as a pleasant heaviness flows over the body. Allowing the body to sink onto the mat and the thoughts to settle around you as if it were dust. Let that attention travel, tracing the body as you become acutely aware of all of the areas that are seeking your attention. Noticing the rise and the fall of the belly as you breathe in. And just let your attention fall out of that head space and rest there. Take refuge in the heart space. If you have an intention to bring forward today, call that into your perspective. My intention for you for today's practice is to find that sun that is within you, the one that we call companion. Connection starts within. When we recognize that experience, only then is it transferable to the world around us. If that resonates with you, then take it in, and if not, release it out. As we welcome this practice of connection today, we'll keep in mind this union that is the body and breath, this place of meeting that is the now. We're going to start today's practice with the breath work, the two-part breath work that we use to breathe in acceptance and travel it upward into a place of gratitude. I would encourage you to play with this breath, find what feels good. I've been taught to do it open mouthed. If you are having allergies, perhaps try doing this with the mouth closed, breathing through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. Play with it. Let it be your practice. Find what feels good and begin breathing. Directing that breath into the abdomen, into the low belly. And then second inhale into the chest as you exhale it out through the mouth, releasing. Let it be as slow or as quick as you'd like. Let it be primal, let it sound if you wish. This breath work is a profound release. It stimulates the central nervous system and releases any tension that's being carried, any toxicity from within. Stimulates the intestinal tract. Any coughing or clearing of the throat that appears is just your body releasing what needs released. Welcome it with open arms and open breath. Let each exhale be a complete release in the body, in the mind, and the spirit. Welcome the sensation, the vibration of the skin, of awakening the cells. And listening to the body, if at any point you just want to relax in a natural breath, please by all means do so. We'll complete 2 more full rounds of these double breaths and then simply rest in an observation form. As you release the breathing practice, allowing the breath to return to a normal state, simply observe the sensations in and around the body, free of judgment, a simple noticing of your aliveness, of that which connects you to this moment and to the world around you. And then, whenever you're ready, bring your knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice hug, pulling the knees inward and allowing there to be a small rolling motion, massaging that lower back, showing gratitude for the kidneys. And if you feel inclined, you can open the knees, drawing circles with the knees now. Warming up those hips. Keeping the fingertips lightly placed over those knees as a way to help you support this movement. Pressing that lower abdomen into the mat, activating the core. Reverse those circles. Remembering to soften face and the jaw by resting the tip of the tongue where the palate meets the back of the teeth, parting the lips ever so slightly. And then bringing those feet back onto the mat, placing them as close to the glutes as possible. I'm going to do some opening, placing the hands on the bosom, on the chest, on the sternum. Exhale all the air, squeezing the belly button into the mat. And then pushing the floor away from the body, pushing through the heels. Inhale, raising the hips up towards the ceiling and opening the arms into a W. Exhale as I roll down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, until the coccyx meets the mat once again. Exhaling all the air and inhaling, peel the pelvis off the floor as you open up the sternum. Coordinating the breath with the movement as I inhale upwards. And exhale down. Let it be slow and controlled. Really visualize those small connective tissues in between the breastplate and the shoulders, opening with each inhale. As if you were spreading your wings for flight. Two more times at your own pace. And as you come back down onto the mat, allow your breath to return to its normal state. Feel the earth as your support. And on your next breath, let's bring those arms in to give ourselves a nice big hug. Wrapping, reaching those fingers for the back of those shoulder blades. Legs are still bent, feet are still on the ground. We're going to go ahead and inhale towards the ceiling and exhale. Let the chin swivel over to the left. And inhale up to the ceiling. And exhale, the chin swiveling over to the right. As you do this, check in with that lower abdomen. Be sure that it's really pressing into the mat here. Inhaling towards the ceiling, exhaling over. Moving gently through any areas that are tense, pausing and directing the breath to that tension. Let every inhale be an expansion and every exhale a release. And as you inhale the face upward, let's add another layer here, allowing this oppositional pull of the knees to go in the opposite direction of the chin. Inhaling upward and exhale. And inhale. Chin is swiveling over the left, knees are falling to the right. Now continue this movement. Open those arms up in a T form as you continue this dynamic breath with the movement. Inhaling and exhaling. Last cycle. And then inhale those legs back to center, chin back to center. You can do whatever feels good with your hands. You want to bring them by your side or keep them out in the T, in the cross form. We're going to go ahead and take the right leg and meet the ankle of the right ankle on top of the left knee. And just before we do much here, give it a little bit of a warning that we're going to work on opening that hip flexor. We're going to prepare the body by doing a little bit of this movement here, saying, hey, we're about to come in there and lengthen. But if you want to take this another step deeper, go ahead and lift that left foot off the ground. Lace the fingers behind the thigh or hold on to the top of the knee, whichever feels good to you. And make sure that you're still nice and level with the mat here. I'm not lifting the coccyx off the mat. I'm really pressing that pelvic floor into the earth and working on lengthening that thigh, back of the thigh, the glute muscle, all of that sciatic region that connects into the hip flexor. Again, directing the breath so that each inhale is an expansion and each exhale is a release. Take one more long, full yogic breath here.
Stephanie, could you talk a little louder, please?
Am I not talking loud enough?
Well, not for my ears.
Oh, you know what? There's some kind of weird delay on the sound, it sounds like. Okay, I'll speak up. Thank you. And as you go ahead and lower the left foot onto the mat, be sure that lower back is firmly placed on the ground and uncross the legs. Whenever you're ready, we'll prepare ourselves for the other side, crossing the left ankle on top of the knee, and just doing a few butterfly moves here to open the hips. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and lift that base leg off the ground, lacing the fingers behind the thigh or holding on to the knee here at the top. Really reaching the coccyx for the mat and feeling that in the hip. Directing the breath so that each inhale is an expansion. Each exhale a release. One more full breath here before we come out of it. And then placing that base leg on the mat, slowly I think that the problem might be that I keep losing connection. That's why I'm going in and out and you can't hear me. All right, let's try this. Try to keep continuing here. Slowly push yourself into a seated position, little by little, taking your time. And then if it feels good to cross the legs here and sit cross-legged, I'd like to try an oppositional twist here of the spine that really works the side body, which will release a lot in that lower back. So let me know how this works for you because I don't know if we've ever done this before. It's very similar to one we do in the seated chair, but what we're going to do is take this hand, the right hand, and I'm going to grab my left knee. And then as I do that, I'm going to reach my sternum up towards the ceiling. and pull away from that knee. So you should really feel a release in this shoulder here, but you should also feel this lengthening in the sternum. And you just put this hand kind of behind the hip if you want. If you'd like to add another layer, you can reach it up towards the ceiling. And just notice how that oppositional pull, how you can feel it in the rib cage and the shoulder, this opening of the sternum. Just breathe into it. Again, you can have the hand here in the sky. You can fold it behind the back. The objective here is to use this pulling away from the knee to open the sternum, which essentially opens up that rib cage for us. And you can play with the head. Perhaps you don't like looking up at the arm. That's okay. Stare down at the knee. See how that feels. And then go ahead and release that arm. Release the hand. Shake out the hands there. We're going to do the other side. If you need to shake out the shoulders too, that's good. So moving to the other side, we're going to grab with the left hand, grab our right knee. And then really reach that sternum up towards the ceiling, feeling that pulling away from the knee here. Should really feel it in that shoulder area. Open the chest up to the sky. If you'd like to raise the arm. Again, feel free to play with the head here. Notice the difference. If I'm gazing down at the knee, as if I'm gazing up at my hand. You can drop the arm behind you, if that feels okay. This is your practice. Make it what feels good. And then dropping the arm, letting go of the knee. Shake out those hands again. Do some shoulder rolls. And then little by little, we'll find our way to a standing position. Slowly coming to a stand. I'm going to use a chair, so if you have one nearby, that would be wonderful. Some of you, I only see your feet, so you might need to adjust your screen just a little bit so I can see your, at least your hips. I know sometimes it's hard to get the video in the right position, but as long as I can see your hips, then I know what's going on. All right, that looks good. So we're going to use the seat of the chair, and we're going to start doing like the 4-point pose, but using the chair. So make sure that your knees are positioned over your heels. And then I usually have you flex the knees slightly so that you fold the body over the thighs, placing the hands, the palms on the seat of the chair, and really checking in with that spine to make sure that it's long Let's see. Make sure you can see what I'm talking about here. I don't want the heads to be like this, and I don't want them to be like this. I want a long, long neck there, okay? And we're gonna do some inhales as we reach the back of the head towards that coccyx. And then exhale, reaching the chin for the pelvic bone. Inhale up. Exhale. Make that concave with the body. When you inhale up, you can use that chair to push the body away from the chair. Coordinating the breath with the movement. Find a rhythm in this. We're loosening the thoracic spine. We're releasing tension in the lower back. Two more full cycles like this. And then bring that body back to that straight arrow. We're going to take this to the next level by putting our elbows on the chair. So this is a little bit like a down dog. And then using this chair to shift our weight into the hips. And waggle that tail just a little bit. Notice the difference when you take your hips from one side to the other. We're lengthening the back of the leg here. We're also opening up that shoulder region as we rest some of that weight here on our shoulders, on our elbows, sorry. You can play with this, flexing one knee, noticing the difference in sensations as we move through the postures. And then resting anywhere you might encounter some tension. Now, before we make our way back to standing, slowly bring the body back up onto the hands. Take a deep breath here. Weight is equally distributed between the legs and the hands. Gaze up at the back of that chair. Make sure you give your body a few minutes to catch its center of gravity, walk the feet in, and come back to standing. Okay? All right. So now, with the chair at our side, we're going to take a wide stance here. The foot that is closest to the chair is going to swivel around with the toes pointing underneath the chair. Okay, hips are facing forward. And when we're ready, we're going to flex that front leg. Now, in doing this, I want us to pay attention to a few things. This knee that is flexed should be right over the heel. The hips are facing forward. The back foot is firmly placed on the ground, and we're going to go ahead and raise the arms into a T. Gaze shoots out over those front fingers. Find stability in the posture. And on the next inhale, let's go ahead and reach that hand up to the ceiling, letting the right hand reach towards the back leg, being sure to drop that shoulder. And exhale back over. We're going to take both arms here and take this leg in the back and now swivel it around so that hips are facing the chair. So you're here and you just swivel that body around. So now you're in a lunge. That back foot does not need to be completely placed on the mat. Just reaching for it. Here in this front lunge, we're really working into that psoas region. You can have your hands on the chair if that feels good for you. You can always bring them into prayer pose as well. And then to come out of this, we're going to straighten that front leg. Both legs are straight now. Both hips are facing the chair. You should feel a lengthening in that calf muscle of the back leg. And then whenever you're ready, you're going to push off that back leg and come to standing. Here we are, lifting my gaze. We're going to come to mountain pose and gather our senses. Find that stability. Feel the earth beneath your feet. And then dropping the palms, hands by your side. Let's change direction of the chair now. Placing the chair on the other side so that we can use it for support. I'm going to take a wide stance. The leg that is closest to the chair, I'm going to swivel on my heel and point those toes underneath the chair. Hips are facing forward. And then flexing that front knee. I'm going to be sure that the knee is right in line with the heel. Body is still facing forward. When I find that stability, I raise my hands up. Gaze out over my front fingers, feeling my power. Knowing that power is due to feeling a deep connection with the world around me. Something bigger than myself. And on your next inhale, go ahead and reach that arm down towards the back leg, reaching for the sky. I can really feel it here in my shoulder. Okay, this is the difficult one. We're coming forward in a full circle. Take those hands, place them on the chair, and let the back foot and hip rotate around so that now your body is facing the chair. You're in a low lunge here. Feel free to put your hands in any way you'd like to feel them. If you need that support of the chair, that's perfect. If you want to try it in prayer pose, wonderful. And then coming out of that, let's place our hands on the chair now. We're going to straighten both legs so that we're in a kind of front-facing triangle. We're reaching that back heel for the ground now. Really reaching for it. It's okay if it doesn't make it all the way. Mine doesn't, you see? You can get those legs a little closer if you feel like you need to. And just feel that hip. Notice what it feels like when we move around that way, when we drop the hip and we're really facing forward. You should feel it all underneath that back leg. And then bending the back knee just enough to push off of it, come to standing. Before you take any fast movements, the chair is your friend. Be sure that you have your feet grounded. Finding that stability of the mountain. Feet are firmly rooted. There is a divine connection that sustains you. And then dropping those hands by your side. Let's go ahead and shake our legs out. We gave our legs a lot of movement there, a lot of work. Make sure you get them all shook out. Okay. So we still have a few minutes before we go into the relaxation part, but what I'd like us to do is, if anybody would like to unmute themselves, if there's a specific posture or practice that you would like us to end the class with today, now's the time to speak up. If not, I will give you a few things before we go into meditation. Looks like everyone's just really great. Okay, so we've got our chairs here. And what I'd like us to do is have a seat in the chair, but not like this, off to the side. Okay, as long as you have a chair that doesn't have arms, that should work for you. Because what we're going to do is open up the chest. We're going to take those arms behind us, okay? I'm going to attempt to clasp the fingers behind the body so that the hands are clasped behind the body. And then being certain that the feet are nice and grounded, that the core is nice and active, we're going to reach those palms for the earth. Okay? Notice I'm not putting the head back like that. My head is firmly placed on top of the spine, but you'll notice that as I reach those hands for the earth, there are a couple things that happen. First, it opens my chest, but also it requires me to activate this core, because if I don't, I'm going to go backwards, okay? So this is a core practice, it is also a practice of Anahat chakra, opening of the heart. So just take deep breaths here as you feel those shoulders rolling back onto the spine. You can visualize a light here, expands in that place of the heart. Opening up. And then release those hands, shake the hands out, and we're going to do the contra posture here. Just go ahead and warm those hands up, get that circulation back into the arms. I tend to get, because I, like Nancy, I sit in front of a computer a lot. When I do that opening of the heart, a lot of times I get tingly in my arms. I don't know if that's something that happened for you, but just get that blood back into those arms. And then sitting up nice and tall, activating that core, we're going to clasp the hands and now reach them out and away from us. Again, we are sitting up tall, our cores are active, shoulders are not up by the ears, they're down on the spine. And then inhale them up, but only to the point right before the shoulders want to raise, okay? That's our limit. So if your shoulders are trying to come up, then you've gone a little bit too high. Keep those shoulders down. Really feel that lengthening in the back of the knuckles, and then come back in to heart pose. Take a deep breath. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and prepare yourself for the relaxation part of today's practice, or meditation part of today's practice. Getting up out of your chair and putting on your socks or sweatshirts, whatever feels good. You can choose to lie down on your backs or simply remain seated in a chair. You can sit on the mat like I'm going to do if that resonates with you. And as you settle into this space of relaxation, of Shavasana, this is the asana of the witness, where there is no I, there is no ego, only observing, no identity, no one to judge. And as you settle into this posture, let the attention observe all of the subtle changes that have taken place, that are taking place on a cellular level. The way in which the sensations have shifted since we started today's practice. A simple noticing. And as you become acutely aware of these shifts, also notice that profound connection that you have with yourself, with the earth, with the world around you. Let your breath soften and lengthen as you take your attention to the toes. Everything simply lets loose as you sink deeper into this profound understanding and awareness of the interconnectedness of everything. This root system of support in which you are a fundamental element in. Let your attention roam throughout the body, journeying through the instep and heel, ankle and calf. And everywhere your attention touches simply takes you deeper into the most blissful state of awareness and relaxation. Noticing the knees, and the thighs and hips, and all of the vital organs that keep us healthy. Simply let loose, giving them the well-deserved break that is so needed. Allowing that energy to continue journeying, weaving in and between the ribs, the side body, the shoulders, arms, and forearms. It's a pleasant heaviness weighs over the body. Allow that attention to bless the shoulders, the neck, the sternum, and the throat. And every single tiny muscle of the face, even the hair follicles, simply relax. To rest, the most beautiful, blissful state of connectedness. Rumi wrote, "There's a sun in every person, the you that we call companion." There's a beautiful story in the Talmud where a rabbi asks his students, "How do you know the first moment of dawn has arrived?" After a great silence, one pipes up, "When you can tell the difference between a sheep and a dog." The rabbi shakes his head, "No." Another offers, "When you can tell the difference between a fig tree and an olive tree." Again, the rabbi shakes his head, "No." There are no other answers, and the rabbi circles their silence and walks between them. You know the first moment of dawn has arrived when you look into the eyes of another human being and you see yourself. Let this story quietly sit with you. This knowing of seeing yourself in the other. And hence, there is no separateness. There is only oneness. Do not try to comprehend this, but simply feel it in that heart space which we've just opened. Let this awareness become deep understanding as you call your attention back to the wholeness of the body and the moment that is now. Begin wiggling your feet and fingers, moving the head and the body slowly and with care. To little by little find that movement and make your way to a seated position. Without rushing, without pressure, feeling the interconnectedness of each movement. As always, thank you so much for coming, meeting me here in this place of practice and sharing in this practice. It is such a blessing, really. Sat Nam. Namaste.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Let's see.
Yes, thank you.
Did we work through some of those things that were coming up?
Yep.
Good. That's good. No, shoulders are still a little sore, Nancy.
It's just crunchy. It's just not. It's not right.
Oh.
Everything you did was helpful.
Just maybe needs a little more depth, doesn't it?
I just need to stop
A massage.
sitting over the computer.